Hello, everyone. Welcome to Naluri Community Webinars. My name is Mikey, and I will be your moderator and host for today's session. As we're waiting for more people to join, why don't you tell us how you're feeling today? Leave an emoji in the chat box or even say hi. You might know someone else that's attending this webinar. Hello. Hi, Karen. Hi, Mas. Hello. Hi, Anisha. Good morning. I know most of our audience are from Malaysia, but why don't you say hello if you're from, or tell us if you're from Indonesia, Singapore, or even Thailand. Hey, everyone. I hope all our Muslim audience members are having a blessed Ramadan as well. There you go. Sorry from Indonesia. Hello. Just to warm things up, I think I'm gonna run a poll. Don't worry, the poll is anonymous. We just want to find out average age range of our audience members today to better suit the content of our webinar. So I'm going to be sharing a poll on your right. There you go. It's on the poll tab. Again, don't worry, this is anonymous. You're not revealing your age. Interesting, it's quite balanced. Not too many young people here. I'm not saying everyone is old, by the way. Interesting. Why don't you share any burning questions you'd like to be addressed in this webinar as well? In the chat box. I'm sure some of you have similar questions that you would like to be addressed. We'll just wait one more minute before we start. Wow, actually quite a few people from Indonesia. Okay, it's 11:03. There will be more people joining, but I think I can start now. So for those people who missed it in the beginning, my name is Mikey. I'll be your host and moderator for today's session. And today I'm very honored to be joined by Naluri financial coach Raymond Chan to present Wealth of Knowledge, a guide to financial literacy. Just before we start, a little housekeeping. I'm sure some of you are already familiar with this, but it's good to go over it again. This is a very interactive webinar, so please do use the chat function as much as you can. You can use it to ask questions or even talks amongst each other. Previous webinars, we've had very interesting debates happening within the chat. If you'd like to speak to if you'd like to address a question or chat directly with our webinar speaker, Raymond, you can use the symbol on the chat and type in Raymond. There will be an option if you want to keep it anonymous to send it as a private message. At the end of the webinar, I will be sharing this presentation deck as a downloadable PDF, and everyone who has registered will get a webinar recording as well. Just a little disclaimer from Raymond. This presentation was prepared by Raymond, but the information in this webinar is for general information purposes. So please do not take this webinar as anything that constitutes legal, financial, trading, or investment advice. These are all Raymond's views. Right, so let me get to Raymond. Raymond is a licensed expert and financial planner who's been in the game since 2014. Armed with a degree in applied finance from UNISA, he's dedicated to helping his clients achieve financial freedom through his core offerings: cash flow, protection, accumulation, and distribution planning. With a knack for working with young professionals who are just starting out in their careers, Raymond is the go-to guy for those looking to establish a solid financial foundation for a prosperous future. Over to you, Raymond.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Mikey, for the introduction. How's everyone doing? Good vibes. I can see very excited from you guys. And today's audience it's in the mid range. We have about 44% of you guys within the range of 30 to 45 years old. We have some younger and also some senior audiences. So let's go ahead and start today's sharing. So today's my topic is talking about what are the pitfalls in financial plannings and how to avoid them. So this is the agenda that we'll be doing. We'll be going through some topics on regarding goal setting, uh, being reliant on debt, risk, wealth management, financial plans, pitfalls to avoid, and also wrap up and Q&A. So if you have some, like Mikey say, burning questions while present, feel free to add it into the chat. Otherwise, we will have a Q&A at the end of today's session. Let's go. So without a clear understanding of what one person wants to achieve, it becomes a challenging task to create a financial plan that works. Financial planning requires setting SMART goals. Let's look into it further. SMART, you can look, is an acronym for S, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So let's zoom into the specific of each. When it comes to specific, you have to be clear and detailed with this target. What are the goals you want to achieve? For example, if you say something like, I want to go holiday, let's examine this goal, whether is it smart or not. I want to go for a holiday. Specific. So where exactly is the holiday going to be? Measurable. What quantifiable evidence can be used to measure it? So when it comes to holiday, it may be something like using the budget. I plan to spend 10,000 for 1 week. So it's measurable in cents and dollars. Next, attainable or achievable. Is it a reasonable goal to achieve? Make it something challenging and within your goal to achieve. For example, if you're earning an income of 5,000 per month and you want to go for a holiday and you're budgeting about 1 million, which you do not have 1 million in your account, so you take very long for you to achieve it. So it has to be something that makes sense for you to do it. Relevant. Does it align to your values? You have to set goals that are meaningful and consistent with your beliefs and objectives. Coming back to holidays, if like myself, I am a foodie, I eat to live. No, sorry, I live to eat and I do not eat to live. So my ideal holiday to Japan would be going to various food places to try their local delicacies. So if your holiday trip, you plan it around going to visit historical sites, museums. As a person who like food, that may not be relevant to me as a goal. And lastly, you have to make it time bound. When will you reach your goal? Choose a time frame in which your goal could be achieved. So for the holiday, it can be something along lines of, okay, during the Christmas season in December, I will go for the holiday. So a smart goal when it comes specifically to holiday, it would be for specific, I want to go to Japan for holiday with my girlfriend, example, and measurable. What kind of budget is it? Do I want it to be free and easy, or do I want it to be luxury trip? From there, you'll be able to set aside a budget for you to plan for it. Next, achievable. If you're working as an employee, a 7 day trips would be very reasonable compared to saying I take 2 months off my work to go for the holiday. And relevant just now as mentioned, you have to plan something that you like. Otherwise, you will not be able to maximize your enjoyment. And time bound, set a time for it. I want to go in next year in 2023. So we have a time frame to define goal. So often clients would come to me and say, I don't know what I want to do with my life. This is where a financial planner could come in and discuss with you what are the potential things you can start looking into. Some big questions that they might ask you is, what are the things that are important to you? What do you care for? Who would be impacted by the decisions that you make in life? If you're as a single, how will your parents be in the picture? If you're married with children, uh, then you would also require to add them into the planning too. So a good guide is to use the 5W1H concept to help you evaluate it. So if we continue on using the holiday example, based on SMART goals, how will we look like now? What do you want to do? So here will be going for holiday. Who will be involved in it? Would it just be myself with my spouse, or would I bring my whole family over? Where would it happen? So where would be going to, for example, go to Japan? When? That's the time. Why? Is it something that you always want to do? Sometimes different people travel for different reasons, and you might want to be the type that want to go and look at the views. Like for me, very specific, I want to go to Japan to look at the autumn scene in Kyoto. So that's something that will bring joy to me. So that's my why. What about you? And how am I going to go to Japan via cruise or via flight? So when you use this 5W1H, any items can be put inside here. Let's take education planning, for example. If you have young kids and you intend to send them for plan for their tertiary studies, what I want to plan for my child's education, who? So this is for your kids, right? And where? So where, when it comes to education, is very specific to where are we doing it in Malaysia? Are you going to study 4+0 in Malaysia, or do I intend to send them to Australia, UK, etc.? When? So if your kid is 5 years old now, at age 18 means you have 13 years for you to go, for you to plan for it. Why? I mean, all the parents that I meet, they would want to provide for at least a tertiary study for their children, because being able to have a degree, I mean, degree is literally like the minimal requirement when you want to get a blue collar job, right? They will first state you must have a degree and whatnot. And how means am I only the person saving for the education, or am I the only person saving, or my spouse will come in together to help me achieve this? So you find this concept is very, very useful when you want to evaluate different things, no matter it's insurance planning, investment, retirement, financial plan. All these can add in here also. So all these are big questions, and will require mulling it over many coffee sessions. If it's all overwhelming, start with this. What kind of retirement lifestyle I would like to have? You can look at your parents or even your grandparents and ask yourself, do I want to live like them when I'm retired, or do I hope for something better? And it's never too early to start planning, especially when it comes to retirement planning. So better to start now than wait for a suitable time for it. Then from there on, just add anything else that pop up and see where it leads to. Because once you started that, the thinking, then things will come to you naturally. So to me, financial planning is less about money management and more about life management. Where am I now as a reflection, and where I want to be? So using financial planning helps to chart a path in life, and the rest of the decision points in life simply falls into, will this springboard me forward or set me backwards? Once the goal is clear, the rest will fall in place, just like a puzzle. Next pitfall that I want to mention here is over reliance on debt. When it comes to debt, there is good debt and there's bad debts. So good debts are like leveraging tools in our financials that we use. For example, taking up a 30-year mortgage loan to secure a property for property finances, or even to get a car, maybe a 5-year or 9-year loan. This is mostly because many people cannot afford to fork out a large sum of cash upfront, especially when it comes to purchase of property. So these are good debts. Bad debt here means it's risky if you use debt to finance one's lifestyle. A very simple example is if you're earning 5,000 per month and you use 6,000 or 7,000 per month. So where does this extra money comes from? It might come from your credit card. It might come from loan from friends. It might come from other financial tools. Because using debt to finance your lifestyle, it leads to over indebtedness, high interest costs, and also financial stress. I'm sure you saw the post on social media saying that a person paid for a Starbucks drink worth 15 ringgit and used installment plan to pay for it over 3 rounds, means 5 ringgit, 5 ringgit, and 5 ringgit. So another example is over reliance on the buy now pay later schemes. Very happening recently. You can see within Malaysia we have some apps like Shopee, Touch and Go, and etc. where you can buy thing forward and then get a zero installment plan. So usually people use this type of plans to buy household appliances, for example, washing machine, or even your phone may be paid for using this method. So if you're paying, example, 200 per month for 2 years for the washing machine that you bought, it is still manageable. However, when you stack it with multiple purchases, example, 200 for washing machine, 300 for your phone, 500 for your computer, it then becomes overwhelming on your finances. So if you find yourself allocating the bulk of your monthly income to service your credit card or bank loans, you might want to look into it before it spirals out of control because as you sign on this package, it looks reasonable. 200 per month for next 2 years, yeah, sure, I can do it. But when you have a lot of it, right, then it's another story. So one way to manage this is to make sure that you spend within your means and use that responsibility. It could lead to financial prosperity or financial ruin, depending on how you use it. So at this point, could you please share with me on the chat, share with everyone else here, what are the items that you bought recently using installment schemes? Like I mentioned, besides your phone, your washing machine, I have someone who bought an air fryer using it, and then others. So feel free to share, and then we see is there any other things that I massage chair. Yes, facial package. They like to catch you in, and then because they tell you, okay, you sign this plan, and then we'll give you a package over time. And then we have one by Muhammad of iPhone bought in 2021. Today is 2023, right? So it means that right, you see, over 2 years. 2 years is still not getting done. So you can see here in the thing, these are all the items that you may be getting for that. So engineer asked a question, so I will answer, but okay, I can just answer it now. Would consider buy now pay later. I believe that is your question. Would consider buy now pay later a benefit since it will actually stretch our cash flow. As all things in life, when done in moderation is fine, but when you have like 10 buy now pay later, then it eats into your lifestyle already. It no longer becomes a convenience, it becomes a burden on you already. So that's why this picture here over relies on that 3 years installment scene. Yeah, so the iPhone bought 3 years, almost there. Keep it up, Muhammad. How about those 3 times payment I automate? Right. It still goes back to affordability as long as it's reasonable and it's something that you can work on. Okay, if you have only one item, it's fine, but you have many items, then you will become what? You become burdenful. So let's move on. So another pitfall that many people do things are like ignoring risk management. So risk management definition here is the process of identification, analysis, and acceptance or mitigation of uncertainty in investment decisions. So simply put, are you the type of person which only refill the petrol when the indicator is blinking and it's already empty? Or like me, once you see it at one bar, you start getting easy and start looking for places to pump your petrol. There are many clients that has referred to me initially wanting to look into investments only, simply because they want to make their money to work harder. However, this is without considering the other aspects of financial planning, because at its core, financial planning consists of 4 categories. You can see from bottom upwards. It's from wealth protection, wealth accumulation, distribution, and financial freedom. I'll go in a bit further on it. Wealth protection essentially is using tools or activities to make sure that whatever you have currently will not be wiped out if something bad happens. For example, a medical emergency or maybe some family emergency requiring money. Wealth accumulation is where investment comes in. You have a pile of gold. How do you further build your pile of wealth? Distribution is at the end of the day when we are no longer in the world, what we pile up, what we accumulated over the years, it has to go somewhere. Do I want to leave it to my loved ones, or do I want to donate it all to charity? And financial independence is what everyone is striving for, to be able to reach the stage where you work for fun and no longer need to no, you work because you want to, not because you have to. Financial independence is basically the state of being free, being able to what you want in life. So there's a reason why protection is at the bottom of the pyramid. So imagine each of us are on a wooden craft that's fishing, fishing for wealth. And if we are on the craft and we, sorry, let me click on next slide. Right. So you can see this craft. This is where you're building up your wealth. So you're a fisherman and you're fishing, and as you fish, you get more money into the boat, into the raft. However, if you focus on fishing solely, your raft will be full very soon. However, if you do not devote some time to upgrade to the raft to something sturdier, when the wind blows or when a big wave comes in, then the raft will capsize. Whatever that you built over the time, all will become nothing and all go under the sea. So before starting to invest, one should ensure that sufficient emergency fund are set aside if something bad happens. We can utilize it regularly. What are the something bad? It can be maybe got into an accident. Maybe a family needed to borrow money for short term, or maybe they want to start a business and get that money off you. How much emergency fund one have? It differs by individual circumstances. Some people are satisfied having 5,000 in their bank account. Okay, I have 5,000, then okay, fine, I'm safe. I can go and do other things. But if you there are some clients that require like 200,000 in their bank account before they considering invest the rest. Means this two, no matter it's 5,000 or 200,000, this amount is kept aside, put in a very safe place, and it will not be considered for investment. Besides looking at emergency fund, one should look into good insurance planning. It's also essential to ensure your financial plan can run without interruptions. I've encountered many people claiming that they are well protected. I have a lot of books. I'm very, very protected, no worries. But oftentimes I find there's still some gaps in their protection. For example, many people are missing personal accident coverages, or simply buy too many saving plans. They have like 10 books, but 8 books is saving plans. Only one is used for the rest. Some might ask, how often should I review my policy? I would say yearly. Not that I'm asking you to buy a new book every year, but simply to refresh what you bought and then see what is it, how is it like versus whatever that's being offered in the market, and whether is it still relevant to what you have. Because there are often times that people think what is reasonable 1 year ago. After 1 year, circumstance changes, then the needs will also change. So last item to use is portfolio diversification. Means that you do not put all your eggs in one basket and invest in just one item, because it allows to improve returns during different market conditions, as different assets will flourish. It allows you flexibility to pivot when opportunity arises, and opportunity of growth, as we will be investing in different countries. In a good portfolio, you'll be able to expose it to like different countries, sectors, industrial, and asset classes. So example, if you're investing solely in one asset, example, Malaysian stocks, then you'll be wholly affected by the ups and downs in the Malaysian share market. So risk management item tools like insurance, investment, emergency fund, portfolio diversification. All these are tools you can employ in financial planning, and ignoring these strategies can leave one vulnerable to unexpected shocks. Okay. So next, not reviewing and updating the financial plan regularly, because a financial plan is not a static document that is set in stone after it has been drafted. As a living document, it should be reviewed and updated regularly to reflect the changes in one's life's circumstances, your financial goals, and economic conditions. In one's life's circumstances, financial goal. Okay, as we age, our needs also change. What is acceptable to you previously may not be in a few years. I have a client who commented, "Why is my insurance coverage so later?" Where a few years ago they say that this is fine for me now. Financial planning itself, it's a big topic. It can be complicated, and seeking professional advice from a financial advisor can help avoid costly mistakes and improve the chances of achieving financial goals. Do you seek treatment from your neighbor, knowing that you have an issue with your eye, or do you consult an eye specialist and seek for professional help? Financial planners often work with other professionals like accountants, tax advisors, or lawyers while working with the client. So commonly, many people will seek free advice from others and then only seek professional advice when things go south. This will incur great costs, time and money, and is avoidable if addressed correctly at the beginning. So I saw one question by by Li Hui asking, when one's income getting higher, one's automatically become needs already. Usually that's how it goes. When you earn more, you want to have a better lifestyle. However, you realize that it's essentially a trap because it means that it's never enough. Whether you're earning 5K, 10K, or 20,000, is never enough. But once you have a clear idea what you want, for example, you are very adamant, I want to I want to have a good retirement when I'm 50 years old. Then you would allocate whatever resources required for it. Then if you do have extras out of it, you can then use it for your enjoyment and whatnot. So it's a matter of priorities. Do you want to prioritize the enjoyment now, today, or do you want to have some delayed gratification and wait for the future? So this is not seeking professional advice, as I mentioned just now. So different types of investments and how to avoid common investment mistakes. This is as talking as a financial planner in Malaysia, right? So as a licensed financial planner, we can only deal with regulated products by Securities Commission Malaysia. It's our regulator when it comes to investment. So we can also help clients to access to offshore products that deal in foreign currency too. So you may be more familiar with other roles like bankers, unit trust agent, or even insurance agents. There are other examples of regulated industry personnel. When in doubt, it does not hurt to double check with your country's moderator to check on the products that's being offered to you, whether is it licensed or not. One main thing to look out for is be wary with investment offerings that give you excessively high returns. So we are talking about something along the lines of I can give you 7% every month. I can give you 7% every 15 days, that kind of thing. Because if you compare with your fixed deposit rate in your countries, for example, Malaysia, we're looking at 2 to 3%, leaving it in the bank for 1 year. So you have that as your gauge. Bank is so big, they are doing a lot. They are doing banking business. So I put my money there, they can only give me 3%. And you're telling me I give you this same money for 1 year, you can give me this sort of return. So these are the questions that you need to be asking the person that's trying to sell you something. And you should also review the investment offerings against your financial plan. Example, you have 1 more year before you retire. There's no reason for you to put all your money into something that is very risky because your money simply cannot afford to take that kind of risk. So another example, if education, you have 15 years to go to save up for your child education. So it would be a very bad idea to just put it into your savings account because it's just pure savings without giving you any sort of return. And you would basically lose out the time where you save, where if you were to invest it, then it might give you a potential good return for you to hedge the inflation and get the return that's required. Taking bank loan. Okay, so I saw one question by asking, is it taking bank loan and investing this money a wiser thing to do? Usually no, because this is what we call financing investment via taking a loan. Because loan means if you get like a personal loan, you are subjected to interest rate, and then your investment being able to beat the interest rate and also give you extra. So it's provides unnecessary stress to you because you borrow money to invest simply is overstretching yourself lah. So about credit scores and strategies for managing debt. So before you take out a loan, in Malaysia we have this thing called CTOS, CTOS. This score is a 3-digit number that represents your credit worthiness. So before you get a loan, right, it's good to go through it because it's evaluation of your credit history and also your capability to repay financial obligations. You track, for example, your repayment schedule in terms of your loans, how prompt are your payments, your loan, car loan, property loan, your credit card, all these things. So the higher the score, the higher your chances of securing a loan. You can access your latest MyCTOS score via the website. Just go and Google CTOS to stay updated on your credit health. This website will allow you to access if there are any other financial issues that need to be addressed and check for possible identity theft and more. Alternatively, when it comes to managing debt, right, you can calculate the percentage of your income that is channeled to debt, your car, your card, your loans. So for example, if you're earning 5,000 and then you're using like 50% of your income just to pay for that. So that would be pretty heavy on you already. So from the calculation, you can gauge your current financial situation and decide whether you would be able to cope with such a financial lifestyle in the long run. So, in summary, I covered a few pitfalls here and few concepts here. Uh, how to set goals, debt. When it comes to debt in your financial planning, how could it help you or burden you? What are the risk and wealth management tools available? Importance of having a financial plan and reviewing it every year to make sure that you're on the right track, and also the pitfalls to avoid. So that will conclude my presentation, and then we'll go ahead with Q&A. Let's see. Okay. Mikey, I hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Raymond, for that excellent presentation and for everyone engaging. Love seeing all the comments come through. I know Raymond might have addressed some of the questions already.
Yeah.
But we do have some questions that came in from the registration process.
Okay.
So we'll focus on those first to begin the Q&A session. If we don't get to your questions in this Q&A session, don't worry. You can always reach out to your financial coach on the Naluri app. Or as Raymond said, you can always ask your own professional advice from your insurance person or anyone with the right knowledge. Okay. So first question, Raymond. Sorry, I'm just hiding this Q&A. Okay. First question is, do you have any financial tips for buying a first house? Anything you should prepare in advance or something you should be attentive about?
So buying a first house, right, it's a major financial decision for everyone, and it's essential to really consider it thoroughly before you jump in. So these are the few things you will need to address. You want to look into. First thing first, budget. You must determine a realistic budget, something that is reasonable and is maybe a bit stretching for you. Because say for example, you want to buy a house that is a condo that is worth 800,000. It's not just this 800,000, you see, because say for example, without any assistance from the property developer, 800,000 house means that you need to first secure 90% loan, means you need to pay 80,000 upfront for the down payment. On top of that, you will need to consider things like your renovation costs, your maintenance costs, especially when it comes to condo. Every month you are subjected to paying for the maintenance fee, your sinking fund, and also your insurance to cover it, and all those things. So all these different small expenses are things that you may not thought of in the first place. So it's good to talk to other people that bought a house, and then a house that's equivalent, and then have a gauge how is it like. And then you also want to save for down payment, as mentioned earlier, and then source around for best mortgage rates. Recently, I had a client who bought, like it's literally 800,000 condo, and then she shopped around with a few bankers, and then she got a few rates, and then she picked the ones that she thinks most reasonable and most comfortable with. And one thing is, it's not a one-off thing. It's not like buying an iPhone over 3 years. A property is something that is 30 years, 35 years ahead. So if, for example, the repayment is something like 3,000 per month, is it something that you would be able to service over time? Because a property is literally, you have it, you must pay for it. If you don't pay for it, then the bank comes to you and then get you to what. And another thing to take note of is, what's the purpose of buying house. Some people view it as investment. Some people view it as, this is my family house, I want to use this to stay. So the location, when it comes to it, is very different, because somewhere do you want to rent out, a high density place may not be an ideal place to stay. Try not to mix two together, as in you don't, there's no house that can give you a good rental income rate, can give you a good be a good place to stay. And then lastly, don't get pressured to buy because everyone is buying. It's really something that you yourself look into, whether can I do it, or can me and my spouse be able to pay for it. So I hope this gives you some idea when it comes to house, what are the things to look into lah.
And I guess it's a great example to use the SMART goals that you shared earlier when thinking of even considering purchasing this house.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Another question. What would you consider as good investment vehicles for wealth accumulation that we can consider for now, despite the very uncertain market? So stuff like inflation, potential recession, geopolitical tensions, anything we can deploy to accumulate this wealth.
A very important thing is to look into it in terms of long-term perspective, because example, if you're going to retire in 30 years time, then it is all this uncertainty, all these are essentially market noises, because you do not need the money now today. So volatility is definitely here to stay, because over the years of doing this, literally every few months we have some big news. For example, President Trump, Brexit, recently Credit Suisse, then global financial crisis, all these things. So it is definitely here to stay. But if you keep a long-term perspective on things, right, so you would be less stressed on it in terms of, hey, my investment is now -20, how? But if you know that there's still some more time for it, you'll be like, hey, that's good. Perhaps I should talk on anything further. So as mentioned, one of the risk management tools, which is diversified portfolio, it usually includes a mix of different asset classes, like your stock, your bonds, other assets, money market, and whatnot, because it can help you to balance out the volatility over time and reduce the impact on market uncertainty. So as always, you best to look into, check with your financial advisor what are the regulated products available, and then what are the choices you have when it comes to your goal. And another thing is very important, especially if you are familiar with unit trust investment. They will tell you this concept called dollar cost averaging. Essentially, it's no matter rain or shine, you deposit an amount, maybe 500 per month or 1,000 per month, and then you ride the market going up or going down. You're still investing over the long period. So this is one way to do it, because a lot of times many people want to time the market. If one person can time the market, then essentially this whole doing portfolio and whatnot is not required. So rather than trying to do it, just keep going at it and then look into it. And another recent concept that we start sharing with clients is, before this, there are some unit trust funds that can give you double-digit return, 15%, 20% easily. But because things are so volatile nowadays, we get clients to, rather than chase for returns, why not you chase for the amount you can save? You see the difference between saving 500 per month and saving 3,000 per month over the many years, right? It will be very impactful into your portfolio. So that is something that you might want to look into, rather than saying, can this one give me 15% return? So that kind of thing.
And I guess kind of related, often when I hear people talk about market volatility and what to invest in that's safe, gold often comes up. Do you have an opinion on that? Is it a safe investment?
On gold, usually we view it as exotic investments, means that it cannot be your core, means that you cannot have bulk of your assets into gold. And because gold itself, we are investing on the physical commodity, means let's say the gold bar. But you have to realize that the gold value is determined by other people. For example, if maybe there's a risk of war, then gold prices will go up, but there's no control over it. And that bar of gold today is 1 kg, over 10 years, 20 years, is still 1 kg. There's no growth to it. It doesn't come out with little goals. So it's different like when you invest in shares or unit trust, where you invest in the potential of the company in the future, and then the company might grow further, become bigger, and give you better returns. So not saying don't go into gold. You can, but it cannot be the bulk of your asset allocation. It can be something small like 5-10%, depending on your risk profile, and then whether you can even absorb to have 10% of gold in your portfolio.
And there was another question asked during the presentation. I think it can be related. How about your opinion on crypto? I know it's quite a volatile thing to be investing in, but
how about the question was how about crypto and NFT, which is very popular now? I personally I'm very very traditional, so it's actually same thing like gold. It is, you cannot use it to be the bulk of your what you will see some articles where someone's they literally sell everything they have, they jump into it, they make it big, or they totally lose it overnight. So because it's something that especially when it comes to Malaysian perspective, Bank Negara and Securities Commission, crypto and NFT, these investments not exactly regulated. So if you were to ask me, any clients that ask me about these things, I'll say you can go into it, maybe 5-10%, but you really be prepared that this thing can wipe out suddenly. So can you afford to have this 5% be no more? So that is a question that I'll be throwing back to you.
Great. Okay. Last registration question before we get to live questions. Quite a few. Can you suggest a proper financial allocation for monthly spending? I guess in terms of percentage of your income or how much you save?
Yeah, proper financial allocation for your monthly spending, right? It really varies depending on your individual circumstances. Whether you're individual, your couple, or you are a family with kids and whatnot. Common rule of thumb is 4-3-3 rule. Basically 40% on needs. So it's your essential expenses like your housing, utilities, food, transportation, and healthcare. So needs are basically things that are non-negotiable. You need to pay one no matter what. And then 30% are wants. So your non-essential expenses like your dining out, entertainment, traveling, and hobbies. And then balance 30% for savings and debt repayment. If we do based on this general guide, the 30% means 10% is used for your emergency fund to build it over time. 10% for medium goals, for example, down payment for car, down payment for house. Another 10% is for your retirement itself, for long-term financial goals like paying off debts or retirement. So it's important that this is just a general guideline. It may not work with everyone, because at the end of the day, different people may want to allocate higher percentage. I have clients that are very hardcore saver, like 50% of the income go to saving one. So it's really it's essential to create a budget that suits yourself, your circumstances, and your financial goal. So to create a budget, first you need to know where does your money go, and then you adjust accordingly to see whether does it make sense for you over the long term. Yeah, so that's how I would suggest when it comes to allocating money for monthly spending.
Great, thank you. So those are the registration questions. Everyone, you can still keep asking questions in the chat. Augustine? Sure. I think there's one more question. Sorry, Augustine, what was the question that you asked? You can type it in here privately as well. Okay, to the live questions. First one. Is FIRE movement's 4% rule still relevant today? Is FIRE movement something you're familiar with?
Yeah. Basically, your FIRE movement 4% means that you build out bulk of your portfolio, and then you draw 4% of it. The 4% would make sense if your fire pool is big enough, and but rather than just sticking to the 4%, what we do now is rather than fix. I have an example of a client that say he wanted to retire with 14,000 per month, planning for up to from 50 to 95. That makes it what, 45 years of planning, 14,000 per month with inflation. But because things, I'm sure everyone would realize that things are happening so fast, and rather than fixing it to be 14,000 per year per month, we would evaluate year on year, look at the portfolio, how is it, and how does it make sense to use this much or not. Maybe he say, I think I'm worried about the general situation. I'm not going to go so much holiday. Why not I do 10,000 per month? So you adjust your retirement allocation year on year, then it becomes something more active, and rather than just sticking it to the 4%. So in short, the 4% itself it makes sense if your whole wealth is big. The 4% is substantial. If it's not big enough, then the 4% drawdown rate means that eventually your money will end up very fast.
Okay. Another question. Do you think investing in unit trust is better than fixed deposit?
Different tools give you different returns and different type of expectation. Say for example, you put money in fixed deposit, and you want to plan for your child's education. It is a tool that help you achieve it, but it means that you need to save much more compared to saving in unit trust. So different tools is for different things. For example, I'm in KL now, and I want to go to Singapore. Using fixed deposit is as good as taking a bicycle down to Singapore. I'll reach it, but it take me longer. Unit trust, maybe a car, it can be an airplane, so it's faster for me to reach the goal. Yeah, so not necessarily putting unit trust is better than fixed deposit. It depends on the goal. If you want to set up an emergency fund, then it makes sense to put in FD, fixed deposit, because you can take out the money anytime on the next business day. A unit trust, you need like 7 working days before you take the money. So each and its own lah.
Okay. Just before we continue with the live questions, in case any of you might have to hop off early, I will be sharing a link right now where you can give us some feedback about how you thought the presentation was. It'll be available there on your left as a pop-up. And for those that want a copy of Raymond's presentation deck, it will be available on the handout tab there. Okay, next question, Raymond. Do you have any passive income options you would like to suggest to explore for young adults? For example, dividend stocks, investments, etc.
Looking for the question now. Basically, the question is any passive income tools, right?
Mm-hmm.
Passive income tools can come in the form of, for example, blue chip stocks that give you can give you dividends once a while, and then you also have things like bonds, bond fund. Those are the things, and some people might even view property investment as passive income too. Not that I'm saying it is, but it really depends how you look at it. But rather than looking at passive income, especially for someone that is young, right? Besides looking into the passive income, look into what sort of lifestyle you want, and then you aim for it, because if the goal is to build for child education, or for example build for property down payment, investing into passive income tools may not be the best way to achieve that goal.
Okay. Another question. I'm sure a lot of us will be asking this as well. Should we take a credit card, or are we fine just relying on debit card?
I mean, credit card, with all things, right? Debit card or credit card, those are tools. how you do it. So when it comes to credit card, we usually suggest clients to bill their petrol, their insurance, whatever there's regular payment into it, because it's something that you're going to pay anyways, and you can get like points out of it, and it also, because it auto deducts, right? So it's okay. But when you start using credit card to pay for holidays and then not able to pay back, then it becomes a bad tool. So it's really how you use it. So because debit card, sometimes you want to, example, you out of nowhere your car have to repair, and the thing cost 5,000. You do not have so much in your savings account and whatnot, so you cannot swipe your debit card. So you can go ahead to swipe your credit card and then use the time in between to withdraw money from maybe your FD or other places to pay for this. So credit card does has its users also one.
Great. Okay. I think I mentioned earlier, but didn't go too much in depth. How would you approach looking to making investments overseas? Any particular websites you check? Any advice you would give before embarking on an overseas investment?
Making investment overseas. Let me try and find. So the question essentially is asking about investing overseas, is it?
Yes.
Okay. So first thing is the question is why would you want to invest overseas? Is it because you want to, like for example, as a Malaysian, all my assets is in ringgit Malaysia. So if for me to consider to invest overseas, is it because I feel that maybe I would want to consider to go stay in other countries, maybe go to Singapore or go to Australia to stay? So, or is it because I want to, or I have a child, I want to send them to Australia, and I don't think ringgit is going to perform any better, so I start investing in Australia. So once that is set, then only you see what are the tools you can use to help you do that goal. Because like for example, if you want to invest overseas because you want to go to travel to Thailand next year, for example, then you can just go to the currency exchange and just change the money, and then just keep it in your wallet, and then as the time goes, you just go and take the money. No? Yeah, so it really depends why you want to do it in the first place. And of course, what options it differs within countries, because we have audiences from other countries here like Indonesia. So seek advice from your professional advisor and then see what options they are available.
Okay, great. Question from Su Peng. Which would you think is better, FD for 6 months at 2.5% or 12 months at 2.75%? As an
Okay,
example.
we're looking at 2.5 versus 2.75.
Yes.
It depends. I mean, you see that all these specific questions, right? The answer differs on individual. Example, if
course, on the circumstance.
if example you plan to, you're looking into buying a house, you already built up this. Let's say you already have 100,000 cash, and this is your down payment, and you're shopping for a house, and you, because of whatever reason, you must have the house within a year's time. Then putting into the 6 months will make sense, because you definitely go through the 6 months, and after 6 months you will have that time period, the other 6 months for you to buy. And putting into the 12 months will not make sense already, because you definitely need the money earlier, basically between 6 and 12, right? You need the money here. So then it will not make to put there. But if you have this money and then you really do not foresee any reason for you to take it out. So example, you have some FDs that is on the monthly rest basis, then feel free to just put into the 12 months and enjoy the higher rate return. Yeah, so it really look at your circumstances lah.
Yeah, again, SMART goals.
Yeah.
I guess
So
SMART goals applies to almost all
and
the
the fact
questions.
that those are like super good to help you ask further. Why do you do what you do?
Exactly. You question every intention practically. Okay. question about EPF. So EPF is more, I guess, in Malaysia, it's more like a retirement fund, correct? You'll have your own versions in Indonesia and Singapore, but would you suggest, or would you agree that increasing your percentage for employee allocation for your EPF on a monthly basis is a good way to increase your savings?
Yes, definitely. Because Malaysia, we have EPF. Singapore, you guys have CPF. I'm not sure about Indonesia, but you realize, right, if you take out all your accounts and put in front of you, and then you evaluate each and one of them, you realize that this type of investments like EPF or CPF, it has the most money. Why? Because it is a forced savings that as you work, you put money in, and it is almost impossible to withdraw except under certain circumstances. So if you increase your allocation on a volunteer basis, the future you will definitely thank you for doing that decision now today. Saving more today essentially means more options in the future. So a resounding yes to that question. A good question. If you can get your employer to add the allocation, then even better.
Great. Okay. Back to something you mentioned earlier. I think it was about installment plans and paying. What do you think of some installment plans that offer the 0% interest? So for this person, in a way, instead of paying it in a lump sum, they were able to spread it over 8 months and actually arrange their cash flow better. I know you mentioned it's all about moderation as well.
Correct.
Which leads to another question. What is moderation?
Okay. So for example, the first part of the question is because of 0% interest, rather than paying upfront, I can spread it over 8 months, over 12 months. Yes, if you only have one item, then it's okay. However, why not you do it the other way? Since you know you're going to buy the thing eventually, you're going to buy the thing also, right? So why not you save it up, build into your cash flow. And for example, you want to do the holiday thing, the budget is about 1,200. So you save 100 per month, and then when you reach after 12 months, you will have the cash for you to buy it. Why I say that in moderation is because, as mentioned, if you do one, okay lah, but if you have like half your income or 30% of income just paying off all these things, right, then it becomes excessive already. Essentially, you're just making up for whatever decisions you make previously. So when we practice delayed gratification, right, rather than buying it now, you know you're going to get it, right? So why not you save the money over 8 months, and then over 8 months you have that money to buy that. 8 months later, you might decide I don't need this after all, and then you will have that money to do other things also.
We're approaching 12, so I think we'll just finish off on last two questions.
Can I pick the question? Because I think there was
course,
some.
yeah.
Sure. Under the question here, someone is asking about what does financial planning mean? A financial plan mean?
Yeah.
See, when we are student, how do we measure our progress? We have a report card telling you what is your English, what is your math, what is your history. Then as we step into being an adult, there are some tools we can use to measure our health. For example, if you do a comprehensive blood test, the blood test will tell you what is your high blood pressure level, what's your blood pressure level, what's your sugar level, what is your cholesterol level, all these things. So from the report, you will know, the doctor say, you have some issue with sugar, please reduce your sugar intake, have a better lifestyle. So a financial plan is that, but financially. So it looks into where are you now. Essentially, how are you doing cash flow? Income versus expenses. Are you spending too much? Are you saving too little? Then we look into your assets and liability. Are you debt laden? Are you having more assets and whatnot? Are you saving too much in fixed deposit? Not. Is your money lazy and whatnot? So that is where we are now. Financial plan. Then where we want to head to. Over the course of our life, there are things we want to achieve. Like my recent client wanted to plan for retirement, 5,000 per month, and then want to bring family for holiday, budget about 20,000. Want to prepare money for renovation, that's about 50,000. I want to buy a car, it's about 25,000. So these are all the things over time that you want to achieve, right? So a plan would help you take into account all these things. And if you do all these things, will your money be enough or not? Or you will need to save more, earn higher income. So this is where what a financial plan would look like. This is
I think it's important as well.
There's more other small things underneath, but the big picture is that.
Yeah, and it's also very important for accountability, because it keeps you accountable to your plan. And obviously, if you're messing up, you know where you are messing up.
Mikey, can I take one last question before we end the session?
Yeah, of course.
I saw it somewhere. It's something along the line of, if you can give yourself an advice, a younger you advice, what would you give? I think that was very, very relevant. I mean, we are only turning older and not getting younger. Basically, really save first, spend later. That is really, really important, because I have clients, right, that or friends that I approach at the beginning of my career. So you can fresh grad. Will you want to start savings for your house, for example? Oh no, Raymond, no money because I just fresh graduated, not very stable. Fine. After a few years, cannot. I bought a car, and then I bought a house. I now have a kid. I now have a second kid. So it's really, I think this term, I realize, is really not about how much you earn. It's about how much you save. I have people earning 20,000 and cannot produce 1,000 emergency fund. I also have clients that are, example, earning 3,000, but then over a short period of time manage to save 50,000. So don't use not earning enough as a hindrance for you to save money. It's literally about managing our needs and wants. Save first, spend later lah. So if you do something like every time your income come in, you set aside 30%, you don't care, and then you use the balance, you will have a guarantee after 1 year that 30% is there. So this is one thing this is one thing that is quite close to me. I realized over the years of doing this.
Thank you,
Mikey,
Raymond.
I'll leave the rest to you.
Yeah, sure. I think there was a question asked by Augustine, but I think we covered it. It's about investment vehicles to consider now, accumulating wealth. Perhaps you can give a just really short summary of what you said earlier.
What's the question about again? Sorry. Investment vehicles.
Investment vehicle. Yes.
Or always go for whatever vehicle that is licensed and regulated in your country. Like for example, in Malaysia, some may not be aware, Forex is actually not regulated under Bank Negara. So if anything goes sour, you're on your own. So we have regulators to protect us. So within the few ones, it's more than enough for you to achieve whatever goals you want.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Really sorry we couldn't. I know there's a few more questions there, but apologize we can't get to it. Remember, you can always reach out to Raymond either through his email or through the Naluri app as well. Raymond, is there anything else you wanted to cover just before I do the final statement?
As a closing thought, I would say financial planning is a journey, and there may be challenges, ups and downs over the time. But this I learned in this is what I always tell my clients lah. We do what we can to plan, and then we enjoy the rest of the journey, because there's simply too many things can go up or down. We really cannot cover everything. So you definitely thank yourself for taking a step in looking into planning, because it's something, even though it's very important, but many people do not look at it and even not aware what is financial planning about. So read more about it and then ask more questions, then you'll be fine.
Yes, your future you will be very grateful for you now making all the plans ahead. Okay, great. So thank you again, Raymond, for the presentation and the Q&A. And thank you, everyone. Sure. We appreciate everyone being here. And before we sign off, I'd just like to remind everyone to give us feedback on the presentation. It's available on the pop-up on your left. If you remain on this screen, you will also be automatically redirected. Be sure to visit the Naluri community website if you're interested to know more about our future webinars. Share it with your friends and family. We'd like as many people in these webinars next time. Thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you at the next webinar. Goodbye, everyone.